Okay, I'm back. Um, realized how I fell asleep this morning during the teaching, the Bible reading, and I noticed that it went to Matthew 16. It went to Matthew 2. I ended it on Matthew 2 because I was woken up and my PCA came here, which is like a CNA, personal care assistant. Anyway, so I'm gonna finish up Matthew 2 so we can start on 17 tomorrow. So let's get going. I'm so sorry I fell asleep.
In all that region who were 2 years old or under.
You don't drink enough water. It's so easy to get more energy, power, and positivity in your day.
According to the time he had ascertained from the wise men. Then was fulfilled what was spoken by the prophet Jeremiah. A voice was heard in Ramah, weeping and loud lamentation. Rachel weeping for her children. She refused to be comforted because they are no more. Okay, so there's quite a bit in these couple verses here. When Herod realized that he had been tricked, his plan is one that's just terrible. It's basically genocide of babies 2 years old and under. And he says he came up with that age range based on the time that the wise men had come to him. So there's apparently a good bit of time here before between the birth of Jesus and when this takes place. Because he kind of rounds it off to 2 years. Probably guessed a little high just to be careful, but a good section of time here. It's not something that happens, overnight probably. So he's basically going to kill any male child 2 years old and under. And so he actually does this. He goes about it and kills these children. And there's a lot of Bible critics who say that this event never happened. You'll hear that quite a bit. Herod never did this because they can't find any secular record of this genocide. And I think there's several reasons to reject that and to say that this is legitimate. It did happen. The first one is it's completely consistent with the character of Herod the Great. There is no real historian who would argue that this would be out of character, that he wouldn't be capable of doing something this terrible. He did some horrible things, and this would not be out of the ordinary for him, especially considering he was so worried about people threatening his throne. All right, so then I think the second reason is just basically that the Bible has been challenged, criticized over and over and over again when secular history falls short of being able to confirm the biblical records. And over and over again, as new discoveries have been made, the Bible has been confirmed to be true. So even if we don't have any secular record or any record exterior to the Bible right now, the possibility that could arise sometime in the future seems very high. And the Bible itself has proven that it can be trusted as a historically accurate document. The testing that the Bible has been through has been more rigorous than any other historical document. People only criticize it because of the implications of accepting truth. So there's no reason to question that this event actually happened. There's a prophecy in verse 18, another one. You notice how many of these Matthew throws in here. And it's a little tricky to understand maybe, but let's read it again. It says, a voice was heard in Ramah, weeping and loud lamentation, Rachel weeping for her children. She refused to be comforted because there are no more. So Rachel was one of the mothers of the 12 tribes. She was married to Jacob. Leah was kind of her counterpart with her sister, but also kind of she was kind of the other mother of the 12 tribes. And so Rachel was very prominent in the lineage of the 12 tribes, obviously. So she's kind of their mother, and we need a little Old Testament history to be able to understand this prophecy. So Rachel died when she was giving birth, and she was buried in the territory of Benjamin around a place called Ramah, which is a city that's north of Jerusalem. In your map, I highlighted that for you. So take a look at the notes there. And her and Jacob at that time, her husband, were traveling to Bethlehem, the city where Jesus is now being born. You can read about that in 1 Samuel chapter 10, verse 2, Genesis chapter 35, verse 16 through 21, and Genesis 48, verse 7. Those references are in your notes. And this is a prophecy that comes from Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 15. So Rachel learns back in Genesis. This prophecy is in Jeremiah, and now it's being quoted in Matthew. What's going on here? So just keep in mind, Rachel's representative of kind of the mother of the nation, and she's weeping because of the sorrow of her children. Why is this quoted in Jeremiah? Well, because the first time this is fulfilled or used to talk about a mother weeping for her children is when her children, the nation of Judah, is taken away into captivity in Babylon. She's weeping because her children have been unfaithful to God, and now they're being punished and they're suffering. And so a mother weeps for her children. That's why it's in Jeremiah. And now he's quoting it again as really a second fulfillment, in that the children of Rachel, like the great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren of Rachel, the babies, are being killed because of Herod's cruelty. And so they're suffering, and you can imagine the mothers who were suffering in Judah because of this event. And so there's this weeping because of the destruction of her people. And you'll notice that Bethlehem is just south of Ramah, and when Herod did this terrible thing, he was killing babies all in that region. So that region would have been affected by his slaughter. And so you find Rachel in her tomb not far away from Bethlehem, weeping because of the slaughter that's going on all around her. So that's kind of how that prophecy ties in. All right, so then we got our last section of scripture here, and that's 19 through 23. But when Herod died, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, Rise, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel. For those who sought the child's life are dead. And he rose and he took the child and his mother, and he went to the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus was reigning over Judea in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go there. And being warned in a dream, he withdrew to the district of Galilee. He went and lived in a city called Nazareth, so that what was spoken by the prophet might be fulfilled, that he should be called a Nazarene. Okay, so the angel appears to Joseph after Herod dies, and he says, all right, Herod's dead. He's not seeking the child's life anymore. You can go back to your homeland. So that's what Joseph does. Instead of going back to Bethlehem, he actually goes up north to Nazareth. And I don't have a map in the notes right now, but I'll add one. Show you where Nazareth is, to show you where Galilee is. And it says that the reason that he went there was because he was afraid of a man named Archelaus, who was the son of Herod. So to understand who Archelaus is, you got to dig a little bit more into the history of this whole time period. Herod it's a title, not just a name of a single individual. So there was Herod the Great, Herod Archelaus, Herod Antipas, and they were all related and ruled Judea for a time. And so Archelaus, Herod the Great's son, has now assumed the throne, and Joseph's afraid of him, so he moved locations. So Archelaus is actually okay, so you have, this isn't going to work. The dirt is too dry. New plants. Herod, Great. Now from him, you've got Archelaus. This is the guy that we're talking about. Archelaus. Now he has a son, or he has a brother named Antipas. This is in your notes if you want a more clear rendition. And then they also have a half brother named Philip. Okay, so Herod the Great, he died, right?
Just so you know, he's sitting down by the water, like where you hear the wind.
And then Archelaus is now on the throne. And this is who Joseph is afraid of. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. Now, you may recognize some other names here, and namely Philip. So these two guys actually have kind of a strange relationship. You'll read about Philip in Matthew chapter 14, verse 1 through 4. We'll read about that later. But says, well, he's the one who killed John the Baptist. Philip is. Wait, let me make sure I got that right. No, okay, I got that wrong. All right, so this is the guy who kills John the Baptist. Antipas does. And the reason is because he's married to a girl. Philip was married to a lady named Herodias. All right, so these two were married. But what happened was Herodias actually left Philip and went over here, and she wanted to be married to Antipas. And so John the Baptist condemned this relationship between Herodias and Antipas. And do you remember what happened? Herodias gets her daughter to ask Antipas to kill John because Herodias is angry that John has condemned her. Because it was actually Herodias who decided to leave, not Philip who put her away. So she did this thing, and Josephus even, right, you'll see the quote in your notes, he says Herodias took upon her to confound the laws of our country and divorced herself from her husband while he was alive and was married to Herod Antipas. So she did this thing, and that's right there, they're brother-in-laws. Like, so here's this woman like bouncing around husbands, but it's like within the same family. And even Josephus is like, this is not right. Josephus was a first century historian. He's not even a Christian, and he's like, this is not right. And so that's how that all plays in. So the guy in charge right now is Archelaus, but these other characters, Philip and Antipas, have a role, a much lesser role in the Gospel of Matthew, but it's interesting to see how they're kind of all related. And so Archelaus reigned for 9 years after the death of his father, before he was removed by Caesar Augustus or Octavian, when he came to be a Caesar of the Roman Empire. And following his removal, after 9 years, the land of Israel became a formal province of Rome, and that's when it took the name Judea. So I hope that my beautiful drawings here have helped you understand a little bit. And you can take a look at the notes for a little better clarification. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in 2 days when we do Matthew chapter 3.
Okay, so just you see what happened this morning. I'm sure we're in Matthew 16, and I happened to end up falling asleep, and it went on to Matthew 2. So I wanted to finish up Matthew 2 so we can start fresh tomorrow with Matthew 17. That's why I got on here and played that. We'll just go ahead and we'll play a song to end this so I don't fall asleep on tomorrow's teaching. So we'll end this with a song, and I hope you all have a pleasant night. Sit off in the bed. Whatever may commercial. Sorry about that.
She did.
Let me be singing till the evening comes. That's the Lord of my soul. Oh, my soul. I worship His holy name. Sing like never before. Oh, my soul. I worship Your holy name. Your angels out and just look to and good. Your name is great and Your heart is kind for all Your goodness.
I'm sorry, my Samuel's not reacting because the music is right by his ear. Hey Samuel, shut off head of bed. Alright, thank you. Here's the song.
I will keep on singing. 10,000 reasons for my heart to find. That's the Lord of my soul. Oh, my soul. I worship His holy name. Sing like never before. Oh, my soul. I worship Your holy name. On that day when my strength is failing, the wind will cease and my time has come. Still my soul will sing Your praise. Hallelujah. 10,000 years and then forevermore. That's the Lord of my soul. Oh, my soul. I worship His holy name. Sing like never before. Oh, my soul. I worship Your holy name. That's the Lord of my soul. Oh, my soul, I worship His holy name. Sing like never before. Oh, my soul, I worship Your holy name. Yes, I will worship Your holy name. Lord, I worship Your holy name.
There we have it. We'll put a little nice little soap broadcast. Okay, gonna end it there, and I'll see you all in the morning, God willing. You all have a good night, and may the force